to talk specifically to the individuals who are building a business that God gave them, but you are applying to every job that you're qualified for. And some jobs you're overqualified for, jobs you're willing to take less money for because you just need a job. Listen, I showed up to every job. I was prepared. I was confident. I answered every question to the best of my ability. And I did not get a single offer, not one. And let me tell you what that feels like, because you said, God, I believe everything that you told me to build, and I'm going to get a job to financially support it. So when I go in these interviews, God's going to be loud about me. And it was just silence. You're like, God, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and the doors keep closing anyway. And in that silence, your mind does what it does best. Maybe I am not as qualified as I thought. Maybe this business is just an excuse and I need to get more realistic about my life. Maybe I misheard God. Maybe this whole thing is just me. And I battled every single one of those thoughts. Every rejection email, every no call back, every interview that I went in, and I felt like I had it in the bag. And then nothing. I battled it. And here is the one thing that kept coming back to me. God did not tell me to get a job. He told me to build the thing. And every closed door was not rejection. It was redirection, right? God was not going to let me get comfortable enough to stop building what he told me to build. The job would have been the out. The job would have been the reason to slow down. The job would have been the excuse that I needed when someone asked, hey, why isn't Bold Faith Method? Why isn't it built? Oh, I have a job. I don't have time. And I believe that God loved me too much to give me that out. So if you are in that season right now, you're applying, you're interviewing, you're excelling, and you are still hearing nothing, I need you to understand the silence is not abandonment. The closed doors are not failure. God is not ignoring your resume. He's protecting your assignment. Hold on to what God said, not what your inbox is saying, not what the fear that gets loud is saying, but what God said, because what he said does not change based on how many rejections you've received this week. I need you to build anyway. In the midst of you applying, in the midst of you interviewing, show up to what you are building every single day. Because I use this opportunity, the silence, right, the rejection, as a reason to show up to my business 100-fold, to show up to my business 80 hours a week if I can. Because I want you to understand, if God is giving you a business to 9 to 5, it's not going to be the reason that changes your life. Building a business and showing up every single day to what he's given you is going to change the trajectory of your life. It is going to create generational wealth.